Madness.
As you will recall, in the last suspenseful issue of Iron Man, the Invincible Iron Man, or the Invisible Iron Man, depending on if he's using his projection powers.
Projection power!
126. We were on Hammer Villa, not Hammer Island, or not Hammer Seastead, and Iron Man had reappeared after saving Tony Stark. Wait.
He saved him and took him away.
Took him away to safety.
Yes.
And now Iron Man gets to fight all of the B-list villains of the Marvel Universe.
Yes, all of them. Every single one.
There's quite a few of them.
Oh my gosh, so many.
I think some of them needed jobs based on the appearances that they were in too.
Oh yeah. They had to bring them back, show them off, dust them.
I know that Bob Layton co-plotted these with David Michelinie, but I'm wondering if he really wanted to draw all these B-list villains on the cover, and how did you look up the visuals for all of these guys back in the day? Like, you had to go through like the art books in the office, right? There's no internet. You
had to go through every single book to get these looks, man. There's no way. You couldn't just like crack open the World Wide Web and start tabbing them out.
Well, he already had Blizzard, who has a different costume than his original appearance, I discovered.
Oh, yeah?
But I think there's a good reason for that.
Okay.
You had Blizzard already. We saw the Melter already, and we saw Whiplash and his fantastic fake ponytail.
Yeah.
But now we've got some new ones we saw at the end of the last episode. And the good news is, this issue, as I said at the end of the last episode, they all announced their names for me.
Oh, nice.
So I got to look them all up.
Excellent.
Excellent. Wow. Iron Man alone against the super army. I don't know. Would you call this a super army, or maybe like a super battalion, or maybe like a super
platoon?
Yeah, unit. Maybe a super unit.
It's a super unit. Iron Man against a super unit. It sounds weird.
It's not as catchy.
No, not as catchy. A super army sounds awesome.
Well, these guys are pretty lame. So I feel like Iron Man has a pretty good shot against them.
You think so?
Thought.
You think so?
Well, if you turn to the first page, we find out that when millionaire Tony Stark, investor extraordinaire, garbs himself in solar-charged steel mesh armor, he becomes the world's greatest human fighting machine.
Iron Man. The invisible Iron Man.
It's literally 2 podcasts in a row, 2 weeks in a row, where I've keyed it up for you. And you messed up your own joke.
It's because I
5 episodes ago.
I couldn't see it. It's like John Cena right there in front of me. I can't see it.
David Michelinie wrote the script and plotted this one with Bob Layton, who finished the art for John Romita Jr., who I am not allowed to make fun of for the next few weeks, and Jim Novak letters, Ben Shawn colors, Roger Stern editor, and Jim Shooter editor-in-chief. And I'm not allowed to make fun of John Romita Jr. because his father, John Romita, just passed away. So if I start making fun of John Romita Jr. today, you scold me and tell me I'm not allowed to do that because we're going to let the man mourn his very talented father.
Yes. Man, honestly, as we've discussed in previous episodes with books that his father had done, it was very eye-opening and amazing to see the artwork that brought to life a lot of characters. So, And
he's the definitive Spider-Man artist, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
definitely.
he takes over for Ditko and then draws Spider-Man for a long time, like 100 issues-ish, right? At least.
Yeah.
So, and we did review a couple issues where there was a couple fill-ins. We took a break with Gil Kane. And when you have to go get somebody like Gil Kane to replace somebody, that should tell you the quality of the artist, right? Okay, I just can't get anybody. I'm going to get Gil Kane to fill in for a couple issues here and draw beautiful faces.
Yeah.
So, it's obviously a huge part of American popular culture. Obviously, he didn't create Spider-Man, but he created the images of Spider-Man that everybody saw on plates and shirts and toys.
The Spider-Man we grew up with, the Spider-Man that we know, the Spider-Man we love.
And he pretty quickly got rid of the webbing too, didn't he?
I think so. I do find it funny.
It lasted a little while.
Yeah, it lasted a while. I do, like I was going to say, I find it funny because that was a joke, obviously in Into the Spider-Verse. Oh, my webbing. With Spider-Ham.
We're talking about the webbing under the armpits that Spider-Man started with.
Yeah. but
Yeah.
it's good stuff.
So, anyway, I also just finished reading the Rise and Fall of Stan Lee.
Oh, I have not.
Yeah,
although
I know. I said it to you, and you're like,
yeah. You said it. You said I should. You said you should definitely check this out.
I can certainly send it your way. It was a good read, and I learned even more about the beginning of the Marvel Universe. Mm-hmm. I do think if you're an avid historian, I think the first half of the book, you're not going to learn a lot.
Yeah.
And so there was a lot that I'm reading, and it was interesting, but I'm reading and I'm like, okay, yeah, Jack Kirby and Stan Lee didn't get along most of the time, and they both claim they created the Marvel Universe, right? And then I've read a lot about Steve Ditko too, so it wasn't surprising, to find out, oh yeah, they didn't talk. Ditko hates him, so none of those things were surprises. I think to me the more interesting part, and I have read another book about the collapse of Marvel too, but the more interesting part was the Stan Lee Media, and that point forward. So say 1999 forward,
okay.
where Stan Lee is sort of out of comics for a quick minute, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
going into other stuff.
I mean, I guess they have POW later, right? And POW released some books.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was, and the terrifying end of his life, which was just horrifying. Mm-hmm. So I won't spoil it, but it was one thing I will say. It was really interesting reading the book, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Iron Man 127, and I'll get back into it for a quick second. But one thing that was really interesting is in the book they were describing who was there at the end of Stan's life trying to go see him while he was holed up in his house and basically captured by his daughter and his agent.
Yeah.
And
to sell his stuff. Yeah.
Do you want to guess the comic artist that actually got the police to get the agent out of the house? I think it's going to be a tough guess.
I can't even clear any.
Because I said it was too tough, right? So you're like, well, I mean, Todd McFarlane went to see him toward the end. We saw him with Todd McFarlane at a show here before he passed.
Yeah.
So they had seen each other. They'd been in contact. He'd been in contact with Kevin Smith. He'd been in contact with a few other folks. But the comic artist that actually put his foot down and went and did something about it eventually was Neil Adams, of all people.
I had a sneaking suspicion that's who you're going to say. Oh my gosh.
Which is nuts, because they started one of the interesting things that was covered in the book was the start of the comics group that Neil Adams was a big part of. I'm trying to remember the exact name of it, but the artist and writer advocacy group that Neil Adams was in for years. Stan Lee actually helped start that group, and then I guess they got in the room and Neil Adams says, "Okay, we're going to talk union now," and Stan Lee's like, "We can't do that." And Neil Adams is like, "Right, your management, go away." You can't be here. And they had kind of a strained relationship for years, but it was Neil Adams who ultimately went back and helped, I want to say rescue him, because it didn't resolve the entire problem, but try to rescue Stan from elder abuse at the end of his life. I thought that was really interesting. So assuming Reisman's book is correct in his assessment, and that actually happened, that's one of those just feel good stories that, there's somebody, and Neil Adams was also maligned by the comics community a lot too. So that's sort of interesting. I thought it was pretty fast. Yeah, anyway, it was fascinating, but scary there when there's a lot of money involved and people try to take advantage of folks. It was definitely pretty terrifying. Kind of like when you buy an army of supervillains and you bring them to your own island.
Yeah. And keep them there to just, take on one man, an Iron Man.
And I think I wanted to have a little bit of a side because this book is a lot of kung fu fighting.
Yes, everybody was kung fu fighting.
And it's interesting because this book is the bridge to probably the most famous Iron Man book in history.
Oh, yeah?
It's the last issue before it, right? Before 128. And there's a lot of Iron Man fighting B-list villains. So we're going to learn about every B-list villain in this book.
Yeah.
I'm excited. Are you ready for this journey?
I am ready for the journey. Bring me on it.
Well, it looks like Iron Man's going to win because first off, he's repulsor raying everybody.
Boom. He's got him. Just blasting them off.
And then we get started. All right. He's like, I don't get it, Hammer. What's a businessman like you doing with this goon squad? So we're going to get a lot. I'm not going to do a lot of the dialogue in here because it's a lot of fight dialogue.
Yeah.
And Hammer, though, I will say, he said, really, Iron Man, I would have thought the explanation was quite obvious. Haven't you ever wondered where some of your foes get the money to develop their weapons? Pay their bail, replace broken equipment. It's my pleasure. So now he's the armorer?
Yeah, I mean, he's the armament. He's Hammer Man.
Okay. Oh, but he takes a mere 50% of their profits to give them all those cool things.
Well, of course, he's got to get some money for he's got to get a little bit of the vig, the take.
Well, I think we start out with one of the B-listers of all B-listers. We get the first two. They're brothers, in fact. I had no idea.
Oh.
First, we meet Stiletto, who's throwing little knives at Iron Man, who just stands there and then knives bounce off him. So, do you want to... I'm going to play trivia, and you actually have to guess. No cop-outs this time.
Okay.
So just toss it out there. This is... I'll give you the era they were born in, okay?
All right.
So Stiletto was born... Well, this book is in 79, right? So It's either going to be the 60s or 70s, right?
Uh-huh.
This villain came out in the early 70s. Guess which comic he appeared in first.
Oh, which comic did he appear in first?
Or hero. I mean, I'm good either way.
Man. I'm going to say he probably in an Avengers book.
Oh, you are very, very far off, sir. I'm sorry.
Okay.
Clang. Yeah.
Oh, man. Okay.
You're way out. Stiletto is Thomas Stewart, was the son of the prison warden, Tyler Stewart, who was fired after Carl Lucas, who went on to become the superhero. You can't get this.
I can't.
Luke Cage.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
You read these books.
I know.
So Thomas Stewart Stiletto first appeared in Hero for Hire number 16 in September 1973 to get revenge for his fired father after Luke Cage escaped prison. His ability is the ability to throw knives. And congratulations. Yes.
It's a good one. It's a good ability. I mean, we got a lot of knife throwing bad guys out there.
As long as the knives don't come back at you, it's good. If you miss, somebody can always... I was always told not to throw knives because somebody can just pick the knife up and stab you with it.
This is true. They could. They can.
I believe my Scoutmaster taught me that.
They will.
Yeah. Well, the knives have no effect. So we get our next villain, the Discus.
Oh.
All right. Now,
yes.
I'm going to give you a hint on this one. The Discus is Stiletto's brother.
Oh.
So I won't even ask you the question.
Okay.
He appeared in Power Man number 22 in September 1974, 1 month before I was born. Tim Stewart was the son of prison warden Tyler Stewart, who was fired after Luke Cage escaped from prison. Hey! And he sports futuristic equipment, and he calls himself the Discus.
Because he throws discs.
In Power Man number 22, apparently Luke Cage beat up both of them and took them to jail. So
where Hammer got them out and put them to work.
Yes. So we're really high class here. We're digging back into teens and 20s Luke Cage and Hero for Hire villains.
Mm-hmm.
Whew. Okay. They're really going all out on these guys.
Hey, you have to start somewhere.
Well, here we go. We're on to the next page because the Discus throws some discs and
Iron Man
just go back and hit him.
Yeah, boom. He takes them both out.
Yeah. So
double trouble.
The brothers are done, just like they were if they'd fought Luke Cage, who's invulnerable, right? So that would seems difficult. It seems pretty silly to throw knives and discs at an invulnerable person as well as a person with an iron suit.
It does.
Or as we call it, steel mesh armor.
Yes.
And well, anyway, now Hammer's like, attack en masse. And then
oh man,
Michelinie notes that the villains don't understand what en masse means. Or is it en masse?
En masse.
I just read it as in mass.
En masse.
So,
yeah, they get confused and they just, they dogpile him.
Well, anyway, there's
no true formation. If they they did a some sort of battle formation or something like that, they might have a chance.
Well, we've got some more, again, not making fun of the art. And I actually kind of like this art. I love supervillain pylons because I get to see all these supervillains in one spot. But we do get 3 more named villains: the Beetle, Leapfrog, and Man Killer. Should I wait until they? Yeah, I'll wait till they appear some more. So Iron Man decides to fly out of the dog pile, and it looks like 2 people are holding on to him. And he says he wants to make this party al fresco. Does that mean like a party of one or something? I don't know French.
I don't know either.
Well, he flies up in the air with the Beetle. Oh, now the Beetle's a little bit more fun.
Yeah.
Okay. So first off, who was the Beetle's first villain?
The Beetle's first villain, or who did the Beetle? Who was the villain? The Beetle for?
Or where did he appear first? Yeah.
Oh man,
where did he appear for? What comic did he appear first, or who was his first villain? That's kind of a tough one. It's a trick. It's a trick. Actually,
I mean, I would assume because he's a Beetle, he would fight Spider-Man, because that would make sense.
That is incorrect. In fact, he appeared in Strange Tales number 123 was his first appearance in May 1964. But he did not fight Doctor Strange.
Oh, okay.
He fought the other feature in Strange Tales, which was a solo appearance of Johnny Storm.
Oh,
but yeah. So the Beetle, in his early life, he grew up in Baltimore, Maryland, and he battled the Human Torch and the Thing. Oh, well, that's the mistake there.
Yeah, that is a mistake. You just
once the Thing grabs you, it's done.
Game over.
So, but later he joined the Masters of Evil.
Ooh.
And even later he became somebody people probably know a little bit more about, somebody named Mach 1, who was the part of the Thunderbolts.
Oh, yeah, the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, so...
You might see them in the future.
You might, yeah. They don't exist right now, but it's, yeah. So, that whole Onslaught thing, everything, Thunderbolts, something. Cool book for a while.
Yeah,
until it ran out of steam, but it was a pretty fun book.
I had a good time checking it out.
Well, with that said, the Beetle has no luck because Iron Man just rips his wings off, and then that's done. And then Leapfrog decides to get involved. Aha, here you go again. All right, we're already ready. Leapfrog, he appeared in the mid-'60s. I told you I'd give that hint. His first appearance was the mid-'60s. Which hero did he square off against, or which book did he appear in? In this case, it's the same. So,
it's the same superhero, same book.
Yep.
Is it a Hulk book? But
is it a Hulk book?
The She-Hulk book.
Since She-Hulk wasn't created until the 70s, that would be problematic.
Okay, yeah.
You are once again incorrect. You did choose well, going for a low-selling book in the 60s, though. It was indeed Daredevil number 25.
Oh, man. See,
December 1966.
That was my... I should have gone with my gut. Well,
a guy with loud springs in his feet sounds like a perfect villain to fight Daredevil. Daredevil will never be able to find that guy.
Never find him.
Well, Vincent Patillo was an inventor by trade, and he spent most of his life inventing novelty items for toy companies. That's exciting.
Yes.
And then he started a life of crime, and he was defeated by Daredevil.
Well, I mean, you start putting spring shoes on, bouncing around, stealing stuff with your sticky tongue.
Well, he also never got any patents for his cool invention of the Power Pack driven leap coils. He also famously made an appearance in She-Hulk,
yes,
the TV show where his costume was broken. He was suing the armorer, who I forget who the armorer's name was in the series, but
Hammer.
Anyway.
No, I'm just joking. It wasn't Hammer.
The costume designer.
Yeah.
All right, and then they grab the Beatles. He grabs the Beatles costume and flings him into Leapfrog, and down go 2 more B-listers.
Boom, done.
All right, so we are cruising through our Dangerous Villains podcast here.
Yeah.
Or not so dangerous, depending on your perspective. Are you ready for the next one?
Yes. Let's get this next guy that's about to literally jump ship.
Yes. So Hammer yells out, "Water Wizard, quickly use your abilities to form a battering ram from surrounding waters." And by the way, Water Wizard has that same power that Aquaman's wife, Mira, has. He can form hard water. We've seen this with other DC water people.
Yes.
And
form of
he makes a jet ski
and
starts going and leaving.
Out. He's like, I'm out, deuces, y'all. Gotta go.
All right. So here's one. So this one was created just 2 years before this comic appeared.
Mm-hmm.
What comic, and in this case, it's also the same hero, did the Water Wizard show up in 1977?
Oh, where did the Water Wizard appear?
Yes.
Oh, man. You said what year?
In 1977, January.
1977.
You're doing so well so far.
I know. I'm doing so good. I'm going to say Water. He might
fight a hero.
He might fight a hero that's in water. Namor.
Ugh.
No.
You literally did the opposite. I was about to say he might fight a hero that was on fire.
Ah, man.
Named Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider.
Ghost Rider, Volume 2, number 23 is the Water Wizard's first appearance. And he was defeated by Ghost Rider apparently over and over again. He apparently had a lot of trauma from Vietnam and became a costume criminal.
That makes sense.
Fair.
It's fair.
Yeah.
Instead of using his powers for good, he used them for
and he was once a member of the Masters of Evil.
Masters of Evil,
which is all the B-list Avengers villains until they become Thunderbolts.
The Marvel books, not the manga.
Yeah, but I will say that the Masters of Evil in Marvel, I don't think that the Water Wizard was one of the cool ones, right? Like,
what are you talking about? He's super cool. He has his own jet ski made of water.
I will just say, if you go to the Marvel fandom wiki, he does get a significant upgrade on his appearance and costume later.
Yeah, it's not just orange and black.
Yeah, over whatever this thing is. I'm trying to figure out how this orange and black with a trident represents. And he has a domino mask. How does that thing stay on?
I have no clue. Maybe tape.
Well, we flipped the page, and first off, I just want to say the Melter. Oh wait! I can't skip Spy Master. Oh my gosh!
No, you can't skip Spy Master.
I almost skipped Spy Master. Okay, so now we get Spy Master, and Hammer's complaining that the Water Wizard is a boorish ingrate, and he says Spy Master. He goes in to tell him basically to get his helicopter ready or whatever he's going to fly off in. Spy Master kind of sneaks out the back. So not Spy Smasher, right?
Yeah.
Spy Master in Marvel. I want to emphasize this. Which his first appearance was in the early 70s. What comic was it in?
I'm going to say he was in a Punisher book.
See, I threw you a softball. His first appearance was in Iron Man 33.
Oh, man.
He was the original leader of the espionage elite, was a formidable opponent of Iron Man, and successfully infiltrated Stark Industries on more than one occasion. So it sounds like we're scaling up our villains a little bit, it seems like.
Sounds like it.
But I can see you're not a huge Iron Man villain tracker here.
I don't have my Excel sheet with all my Iron Man villains, my masters of my master of villains.
Your list of the Masters of Evil, which
the Masters of Evil, yeah.
Their list is like as long as the Avengers, which
yeah.
Well,
it's like,
are you ready for this one? Okay, so we saw Whiplash on the cover, but I see the Melter and Blizzard, but I don't see Whiplash anywhere to be found. So let's go ahead and take care of Whiplash really quickly.
Whiplash was fighting Iron Man earlier, 2 pages back, but he's not to be seen.
So we know, I don't have to quiz you on this one because we know Whiplash is a Tales of Suspense villain. So as well, we're going to know the next one because we covered them in the past. But I will just say that Whiplash is an interesting guy.
Interesting guy. Tell me more.
Yeah. Well, he infiltrated Stark International's Cincinnati plant where he became its head of research. So that guy seems a lot smarter than he acts in the book.
Maybe
either that or in Cincinnati, people aren't very smart because
Cincinnati.
they eat chili with spaghetti noodles.
It's kind of good.
Well, I'll let everyone else be the judge of it. I have had it many times.
I mean, it's pretty good.
Well, now we get the Blizzard and the Melter, and they're like, we've got him. And the Melter's like, it's not working, just like it didn't work last time. Oh no.
no.
And Iron Man grabs them and slams their heads into each other. And so the Melter was also a Tales of Suspense villain. We know that because his whole purpose was to melt Iron Man's costume.
Yes.
And he was an American industrialist who specialized in development of weaponry for the U.S. government. So wouldn't you think that he would probably be like teaming up with Hammer from a business standpoint?
You would think. My thought is Hammer's like, hey, you're good at this, but why don't we just make you like this instead? And he's like, all right, why not?
Well, he also is interesting enough. Like, he also was a founding member of the Masters of Evil.
See, he was business minded,
but he's still a B-lister.
Still a B-lister. I mean, it's very much like Hellfire Club.
Yeah. Well, anyway, it's now we get to Blizzard.
Yes.
Yeah, and of course, we also know he was a Tales of Suspense villain. But what we didn't know before is that Dr. Gregory Shapanka, an employee of Stark Industries, was conducting private research into means for achieving physical immortality. He attempted to rob the private vault of Tony Stark.
Oh, man.
And his original name was Jack Frost.
Jack
Frost, I think.
Michael Keaton movie, so good. Oh my gosh. Yeah, I love it. He dies and then comes back to take care of his kid as a snowman, and they go on a sled.
I think that was part of the problem. I think
he plays a guitar, and he's like a musical genius. Oh my gosh. Imagine if you were a snowman that could play a guitar.
I think for the Marvel universe, he looks a little bit too much like Icicle from DC, from the from the Golden Age, or looks a little too much like, say, Iceman. So I think they gave him this new costume, and then later on he gets a different costume. So
always changing.
But then after they're defeated, we get another villain.
Oh, another villain.
Yeah, because they're all defeated. We get the Constrictor. This is the one I actually knew, but I actually didn't know where I'd seen him the first time. But now I know because I think I read it. Are you ready for this? I think I read these as like a 4-year-old or 5-year-old.
Okay. Tell me more.
And then read them again later. But I don't know if I was really reading them. I mean, they more got sent to me, right? But the first appearance of the Constrictor and by the way, the Constrictor apparently has adamantium with coils. Dang.
So you know that stuff.
So he appeared in 1977 in what comic book?
He's got adamantium. I'm gonna think. I'm gonna say he a Wolverine book.
Well, there were no Wolverine books in 1977 since the first solo Wolverine issues weren't until later. So you're saying X-Men?
An X-Men book.
Well, it was a good attempt.
Oh, man.
And you were on the right path.
Yes.
But where did Wolverine first appear with his adamantium claws?
Canada.
Yeah, fighting
Canadians.
Wow. Incredible Hulk 212 is the first appearance of the Constrictor.
Oh, man.
You're killing me here.
Maybe I'm doing it on purpose.
You don't know what comic book Wolverine first appeared in?
Maybe I'm doing it on purpose.
Maybe. Well, Frank Payne was an agent of the international espionage organization S.H.I.E.L.D.
Wendigo!
Yeah. All right. Now you're just screwing with my game, which is not cool. This is a legitimate game, and you are over.
I know.
You are over so far.
I mean, you paid me to be bad.
I don't pay you anything.
Jabroni.
All right. Are you ready?
Yes.
Okay, I'm ready to move off of whatever you were talking about.
Yeah.
So now Man-Killer shows up while Iron Man is constricted, and he uses something I've never seen him use before, his projector.
Oh, man.
To project a whole bunch of Iron Men attacking Man-Killer.
Yes. Man-Killer is like...
she's calling him an Iron Pig. Because apparently being an independent woman in this comic book makes you a villain. And
different
I don't know what that says about the era we're reading in or anything.
Different times.
So Man-Killer appeared in We know she appears in Thunderbolts, but that's
yes, but before that
1973 was the first appearance.
I'm gonna say she also fought the Family of Four.
She did not. In fact, her first appearance was in Marvel Team Up number 8, featuring Spider-Man and the Cat.
Oh, man. She fought a spider
that was a
man.
that was a tough one.
Man
yeah,
killer was trying to kill a spider man.
Yeah, apparently this was a tough one. I definitely wouldn't have ever guessed that. So apparently, man killer Katrina Louisa Van Horn was a talented skier who was challenged to a battle of the sexes skiing contest by a chauvinistic male skier. During the ski run, the man cheated and cut her off, sending them both plummeting into a ravine. He was killed and Katrina was crippled. Katrina became fanatically opposed to men, and a group of militant feminists somehow financed her being fitted with an exoskeleton that gave her superhuman strength and durability. It was definitely a different time.
Oh my gosh, yeah, definitely. This villain would not be made today. Or, I mean, it might be for a whole entire subset of people.
Different reason. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, or maybe she teams up with Valkyrie from the Defenders.
I mean,
and they could both go around screaming at people. Yeah. That's the different times.
Different times.
Well, Mankiller gets taken out by the Constrictor after the Constrictor is thrown at her, and they're down 2 more. And now we're down to our last villain. Who is left in the fight? The most powerful of all of the villains. Well, the Spy Master's out doing something, so he could come back.
Yeah.
But the most powerful of all villains, the most intimidating, the best costume in the history of comics, we have the Porcupine.
Whoa, the Porcupine.
And the Porcupine appeared where? Fighting who? In 1963.
He was fighting the Incredible Hulk.
He was fighting the Incredible Hulk in 1963. You are incorrect, sir. In fact, he was fighting the Ant-Man and the Wasp in Tales to Astonish.
Darn it.
You are over, sir. Completely over. I'm taking your Mary Marvel fan club thing, whatever that thing is. You lose your card forever. You'll never get it back.
Burn it.
Alexander Gentry was a weapons designer for the United States Army and conceived the idea of designing a battle suit in imitation of a porcupine.
Oh,
That's his origin. Like, why?
Porcupines are scary, man. Have you ever seen one?
His first delve into the criminal world saw him rob a supposedly burglar-proof bank on its opening day, but Hank Pym and Janet Van Dyne foiled him.
Foiled by a couple of bugs.
Yeah, and he also showed up in She-Hulk, which we noticed him. So anyway, he tries to fire some concussion grenades at Iron Man. Now, how he is alive is beyond me. But anyway, Iron Man hits his suit, and then the concussion grenade, and he's like, my costume, and he's all hiding. So
because it all blew off of him, and he's a naked porcupine.
And that's it. The villains are done. So, and then the police start showing up and shooting all of Hammer's men. Correct? That is what's happening, right?
I don't know. Is it the police?
Machine gun fire. Yes, is it the police or is it Rhodey?
It's the Rhodey and the police.
Yeah,
the police.
The Monaco police don't mess around. Like they are murdering people. Like it is done.
They're like, you messed up our hot dog stand on our favorite beach.
We're going to kill all of you.
We're going straight up America.
Whereas none of them are in G.I. Joe style, or none of them are actually dying on the screen. They're just getting like penned in by the machine gun fire, which it's definitely how that works.
Yeah, penned in.
Well, Hammer is blowing up his own island now. He's jettisoning the flotation foils and activating the lift pods, and he's out of there. He's leaving.
He's like,
it's now going to fly in the sky.
Yes.
And then Iron Man breaks it in half, because that's what you do to big floating seastead.
Yeah.
Because the problem is
it's a skystead now, or it was.
Well, it was kind of floating, but then it just crashed. It didn't get very high, that's for sure.
No, did not.
And Iron Man destroys the giant seastead villa. This is what happens when you have to hire your own army. See, a bigger, more powerful army in the sea can come along and take you out, and there's nobody, because you're in international waters on your own country. Nobody is there to help you.
Yeah, that's right. Iron Pirate comes and gets you.
So it's done. And then, conveniently, in the water is the guy who created the computer that made Iron Man's costume go haywire. And he grabs him. And that guy somehow testifies to a magical fake. They called it a special judiciary committee. I mean, they could have just said that evidence was presented to a grand jury and they chose not to press charges, because that would be a really easy explanation, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what grand juries do, right? They decide
Yes.
if you should yeah, well, anyway. That doesn't happen, and there's a special judiciary committee. Maybe the grand jury already met. I don't know. It's possible. But Rhodey and Tony are back together. They're all smiles, and they're headed back home. Now Iron Man goes back, and everybody's shooting his visage. See, I can use big words sometimes.
Yes.
And Mayor Koch comes back and gives him his suit back and says, "We're not even going to prosecute you for wearing your current suit." And then he gets taken off by, what was that guy's name? Pithens, right? Pithens, yeah. Mr. Pithens is, Tony Stark's ally there. And he gets taken back. And man, everything seems to be going really well. Like
everything's coming up Stark.
Yeah, everything's coming up. He took everybody out. He's home and he's leaving his building with Mr. Pithens. But then Mr. Pithens is like, wait a minute. Because every time Mr. Pithens shows up, it's like a rain cloud just appears. It's like when I show up somewhere, just a rain cloud appears over that one little spot and rain's going down everywhere. It's terrible.
Oh man, what are you foreshadowing for our future, Dan?
Well, you can find out if you join us at Ocon.
Oh man,
Ocon Expo.
He's going to bring the rain.
Yeah, not only can you join us at Ocon Expo on July 21st, 22nd, 23rd in Omaha, Nebraska, but you can find us because we're going to be sporting our brand new Funny Book Forensics hats.
Oh, yeah. They're rad. They're awesome.
They are awesome. I've already been wearing mine.
I'm excited. I'm like, this, when you sent me a picture of it, I was like, that's really cool looking, man.
And you can come get a Funny Book Forensics sticker from us. And you can also visit Greg and learn more about Starlight or learn more about Junior Braves of the Apocalypse.
Yeah.
You can meet his co-author of Junior Braves of the Apocalypse,
Michael Tanner.
And you could meet the artist of Starlight.
Mr. Brett Waddell. Yeah.
But for now, we're just meeting Tony Stark and Ed Koch, and we're finding out things aren't so good because the company is in danger now because, well, Iron Man, the bodyguard of Tony Stark, who's associated with Stark International, murdered, supposedly, at first, an ambassador. And then they lost the Carnelian contract. So now they're in trouble because this multi-million-dollar organization that suddenly has zero opposition now that they've blown up the island of their biggest competitor is in trouble because they missed out on a single contract.
Yes.
But, okay, cool. It's comic book world, so we're going to assume that contract is really important.
Yes.
And then they walk outside, and I said I wouldn't make fun of the art today. Yes. But I do have to make fun of John Romita Jr. I'm sorry. I know your dad just passed, but I do have to make fun of something here.
What is it?
Well,
is it the doll?
Iron Man comes out. There's a doll. Nope, it's not that.
Okay.
Iron Man comes out. There's a doll on the ground. He goes to pick it up for a little girl, and the oldest looking little girl face in the universe. So she looks like she's like
in her teens,
28.
Yeah.
Freaks out and runs back to her mom. But she's also wearing a John Romita Jr. fan club shirt.
Yes.
So he must have felt a lot. I don't know. I mean, to draw your own fan club shirt in your own book, that's,
if I could,
I kind of admire it in a way.
I do too. I mean, if I was him and I had the shot, I'd take it. I'd put it in the book.
Do you think he just drew a green T-shirt and then maybe Bob Layton
just said,
"Hey,
those
letters in there"?
He said, "I'm gonna throw this on there. I'm throwing Junior a bone here. I'm gonna throw this on here because it's over the girl's hair. You got JR, so the hair's covering up one J. Yeah, so it's over. The R's poking out over the hair a little bit. So it's...
Oh, that is true.
So
maybe it was inked in.
Yeah. It's over.
Maybe Bob Layton is a John Romita Jr. fan.
Yeah. And why would you not be? I mean, he brought this book to life. It's a fun read so far. So many bad guys, so many good
the amount
people.
of biting my lip right now I'm having to do.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're being nice right now in honor and respect.
I'm going to say that doll is scary.
Creepy as hell.
Yeah.
The doll is creepy as hell. I would be afraid if somebody tried to hand me that doll. I think it'd come to life and try to stab me.
I know. It's a murder doll. It's the kind of doll that, like, it's seen some stuff. That's all I gotta say. If you've never read this issue and you flip through it, you'll see it and you'll, oh, hey, yeah, that's like the kind of doll that hangs out with Annabelle and Chucky. It's
Well, they think Iron Man is the kind of doll that hangs out with Annabelle and Chucky because they watched him murder somebody on TV.
He murdered that nice fat man on TV.
Man, now no dialogue you won't see in 2023. And yeah, so anyway, everybody kind of awkwardly wanders away from Iron Man, and Tony Stark's back. He puts his uniform away back in its super suitcase.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about scaring little kids. And then he goes out and he goes on a bender. He's drinking brandy and cognac. I thought he was doing whiskey sours before. Why does he keep changing his drink of choice here?
Gotta mix it up, man. He's gotta mix it up.
Well, he's out in I don't know what that is. Tuxedo, I guess. It's a
smashing tux. It's got the ruffly, the ruffle front shirt, little blue bow tie.
Oh, and Bethany calls him, and she's like, "Okay, hey, we're gonna go to lunch tomorrow, or we're going to brunch. Yeah, they're gonna have crepes, right? Yeah, they're gonna meet up tomorrow at 914 Lexington at 1:00. So I guess it's lunchtime, 1:00.
Yeah.
And he's writing it down on a napkin, and he writes down 419 Lexington because he is snookered.
Mm-hmm.
Not so good. And now we get the next page where Tony's at 419. Lexington, and he's like, well, this sucks. I got stood up. How uncaring. She invites me to lunch and leaves me there. And Bethany is at 914 Lexington, actually generally worried about Tony and wants to make sure she doesn't let Tony destroy himself just like Alex did. I still don't know who Alex is, but okay. Man. She clearly wants to get involved. And then we see Jarvis. All right. Jarvis is hanging out at Avengers Mansion.
Yeah.
We haven't seen Jarvis in a quick minute, right? At least in this book. I'm sure he's hanging out in the Avengers.
He was just hanging out there doing stuff that Jarvis does,
Well, Jarvis is the butler, and he's hanging out cleaning up the kitchen, and Tony wanders in with another woman because he's an asshole.
Tony Stark, what you doing?
And he is drunk as a skunk.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently he changed clothes to a white costume.
Yeah, he's got a white outfit. Well, it's a new day. It's a different day.
I think it's the same outfit. I think it's just like weirdly colored. To contrast with the red.
Yeah, I mean it's
to illustrate that he's drunk.
It's 70s. It's a nice white dancing outfit.
Well, and then Jarvis asks him why he's showing some random stranger. I'm sure this isn't going to come back to bite him in the ass at all. A bunch of classified equipment, and he starts yelling at Jarvis.
Yeah,
and Jarvis looks pissed and just says, "As you wish," but I don't think he means "I love you."
No, not one bit.
Well, anyway, Tony Stark gets it on with his lady friend and then passes out his desk.
Yeah,
we think. We're not really sure. He's passed out his desk, and the fur around her is then around him when he wakes up, but she is gone.
Mm-hmm. He's got her flower in his hair. Yeah, it's a whole mess.
And then, so somehow he got back to his office from Avengers Mansion. Okay, so he's back in his office, and Mrs. Abergast is ringing him, and here's Jarvis with a letter of resignation because Tony's an asshole.
Yep, Tony is a jerk.
And Jarvis walks away and says, "I hope you understand, sir," because he wants to be less of an irritant. And Jarvis has been observing, and he sees what's been going down. He's going to go get another job. And then we get Tony looking out the window, and we see a bottle of Jack Powers Old Time Number 7.
Ooh, Jack Powers. Powerful stuff.
And he says, "God help me." And the next issue, Demon in a Bottle.
Oh, chills, man. Chills.
Uh-oh. Yeah, well, we had to get through all the levity with you missing every single villain.
Like I said, I mean, you paid me good money to choke on all those, to totally throw it.
I thought you'd get at least like 2 or 3.
I mean, you told me before the podcast not to answer anything right, so I answered them all wrong.
I did. You did not answer anything right.
You said answer them all wrong; it'll be hilarious.
That is not what I said. In
Oh
fact,
my
if you
God.
will remember, Greg told me to go research all these people and he expected it done before this podcast started. And that's exactly what I did.
And I applaud you for that. And then you asked me in a gentleman's agreement before the podcast, you said,
There was no gentleman's agreement here.
You said, please answer them all wrong so I look really good. And I said, okay, Dan, I will.
You know what? You know who else lies? Pro wrestling villains. And at Ocon Expo,
oh no,
a pro wrestling hero, Rikishi, is going to be there.
Yeah.
And Rikishi, I just want you to know, this is the kind of behavior that earns Greg the stink face. In fact, Rikishi, please, Ocon Expo, for this display, I think Greg needs the stink face.
I don't know if I can handle it.
I think it's ready.
Why would I? What do I do that's deserving of a stink face? I mean, throw a whole entire
on the podcast.
Throw a whole entire podcast straight up.
Lying on the podcast. That deserves a stink face.
I mean, I just made you look like $100 bill.
Well, I think if you look back at our Twitter posts from last week, you're going to see a request for one Rikishi to do the podcast, to do the stink face on Greg. And if you agree, you should also tweet or message Rikishi on Facebook that Greg Smith, GK Wordsmith, that amazing twit, whatever he wants to claim and call himself, will be at Ocon Expo. And he will be there. And it's Rikishi's opportunity to give this vile villain, this hated heel of Funny Book Forensics.
The hated heel of Funny Book. The hated heel of Funny Book Forensics.
Right. The stink face.
The stink face. Oh my gosh.
And if you want to see Greg get stink faced, you just have to come to Ocon Expo.
Oh my gosh. And go tell Rikishi in person.
This guy needs the stink face.
This guy needs the stink face. Oh my gosh. Take a picture of me and bring it to him.
Yeah, he'll know. Well, I'll make sure we find him. He's going to find out. But the most important thing we can tell you is we are going to be at Ocon Expo on the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd.
That's right.
You should also go hang out with Ann and Greg at some place called the Retro Emporium.
Yeah, we'll be
Kent, Washington.
The week before. The week before is going to be Kent Cornucopia Days. It's a
what day is that?
It is why can't I?
July 14th, 15th, and 16th?
Yes, it is exactly those days.
That's fantastic.
And it is a massive street fair with amazing vendors on the street. They shut down the whole downtown area. Multiple blocks are shut down. Parking is a snarl. I'm going to tell you that. There's parking garages and parking lots, so you're good to go there. But driving around downtown is going to be a thing.
Yeah, so what we're saying is go to the garage over by Kent Station and walk the 3 blocks over to see Ann and Greg.
You'll park there and then you'll start walking over and it's nothing but street fair stuff. Elephant ears, crazy hot dogs, amazing vendors, and then the Retro Emporium where you can get your cold drinks, your ice cream, and all your retro needs.
Well, if you're in Washington State, you can visit Greg on the 14th of July or 15th of July or 16th of July, but other days as well, but specifically Cornucopia Days in Kent, Washington. Yeah. And if you want to see Greg in person in Omaha, Nebraska, that's the 21st, 22nd, 23rd. We'll be there with you. Yeah. You have any other upcoming projects you want to talk about besides the ones we already did?
I have nothing in the chute, so to speak, outside of just keep on checking our post for Starlight as we're going to be eventually momentarily getting that next issue out there on the Kickstarter. I don't have a solid date for you. I just know that we've been putting things into the chute for Brett, and we're getting everything ready to go. So
you're almost ready.
We are.
Is what you're saying. So August?
I'm thinking so. I'm thinking after we get back from Omaha, it'll be closer to announce. So it's
all right. So we'll be on the lookout.
Yeah, be on the lookout. I can
just ask Brett when I see him.
And I mean, I will tease because I know C's been teasing. He's been hard at work putting the script and stuff like that together for the next Scrape story. So he's been sending me some stuff here and there, and that's something near and dear for him, and I truly think this next story that he's putting together is going to be really great. It's a nice Genesis story, if you will. So gives you some insight as to who Scrape is, where he came from, and what he's all about. So
okay, so we've got a couple things in the works.
Yeah,
and we just finished up Iron Man 127, and we're going to be getting into the famous Demon in a Bottle issue next week, the 128. So we will see you next week on Funny Book Forensics.
Next week, man.
Or next podcast.
Next week. That's like 7 days away.
Yeah, it's a long time.
That's a long time. Can they wait that long, Dan?
I mean, they could read it in anticipation and know what we're talking about, and probably know more than we do.
Oh my gosh. Well,
but until then, we'll see you then. I got to go now. It's time to go.
It's time to go. And I got the button.
You have the button. Okay. I'll keep babbling until you hit the button.
I'm trying.
Crush the button.
I'm trying to crush the button.
Crush the button like I play video games. Just hit the buttons. Hit all the buttons. The thing that really annoys you. You know how to play the video game, and I just hit all the buttons.
And I'm trying.